Football, the Unyielding Card Master Strikes Back. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. Carl Country Airport. Jiang Ning dragged 2 boxes through a special passage and arrived at the pickup point. Hello, is it Mr. Jiang Ning? Nice to meet you. I'm Oria from the Football Association, in charge of your pickup arrangements this time. In charge of receiving him was a beautiful receptionist from the International Football Association, Oria. She compared the photo with the man in front of her, and the real Jiang Ning was more handsome than in the photo. Saying that, he helped Jiang Ning take the box and pushed it to lead the way in front. Are you responsible for receiving me alone? Jiang Ning looked around, and there were several people standing next to the other receptionists, and there were more than 10 people. On his side, he was alone with the receptionist. Yes, in this World Cup Football League, you are the only one selected as a law enforcement referee in Huaxia. Moreover, your Huaxia football team did not qualify from the group stage, Onya said awkwardly. She also couldn't imagine how a superpower with a population of 1.4 billion could not enter the group stage. Jiang Ning smiled bitterly. This is a fact. Now there is a sentence that has been ridiculed on the internet. This World Cup, except for the football team, everyone who can go to Huaxia has gone. This world is the same as the world where Jiang Ning was before, whether it is the economic system or the development of science and technology. Similarly, Chinese football is equally disappointing. Before crossing over, Jiang Ning was also a football referee. In an important game, unwillingness to accept the so-called arrangement of capital leads to heavy losses for a certain force. In the end, Jiang Ning was operated by capital and lost his job as a referee. Unexpectedly, Jiang Ning, who woke up, crossed into this parallel world and became the only referee selected for this World Cup in Huaxia. Today is the day he arrives in Carl Country to participate in the Carl World Cup Football League. Mr. Jiang, your luggage is so light, didn't you hold anything? Oria pushed Jiang Ning's luggage, feeling fluttering, like a hollow one. Jiang Ning smiled. The things needed for the work are used to load red cards, and the other to put yellow cards. Mr. Jiang can really joke, can he use so much? When Olia heard this, his expression moved slightly, and when he looked at Jiang Ning's eyes, he also became a little curious. I have to say that this only referee from Huaxia successfully aroused her curiosity, who is yellow and red cards in the box. Afterwards, guide Jiang Ning to get into the business reception car and go to the hotel. Ding. Detect the host. Detection complete. Bind the system. Congratulations to the host for activating the positive energy system of the stadium. Jiang Ning was sitting in the car, hearing the voice in his head, and couldn't help but look happy. It's finally here. Standard for a crosser. Stadium positive energy system? Sounds good. The positive energy system of the stadium requires that every penalty made by the host on the court be fair and just. At the end of each match, fair points will be awarded and can be used in the lottery. Fair and just? No matter who it is, in the green land of my law enforcement, don't think of any loopholes to exploit. Jiang Ning smiled inwardly and said secretly in his heart, Ding. Congratulations to the host for getting the starter pack. Giveaway starter packs. Congratulations to the host for gaining global language proficiency. Congratulations to the host for plus 10 points of physical strength and plus 10 points of speed. Newbie gift package is being distributed. Buzz. Suddenly, Jiang Ning only felt a darkness in front of him, and memories flooded into his mind. This is the memory of various Chinese words around the world, so that Jiang Ning can grasp it in an instant. At the same time, his limbs and bones began to pour into a warm current, allowing him, who was originally physically excellent, to break through the limit of his physical strength. This feeling, it's wonderful. He felt that his whole body was full of power. Even, he has an illusion. Now he is afraid that he has enforced several games in a row, and it is no problem to run the entire distance. I'm really looking forward to the Carl World Cup. I'm coming. When Jiang Ning was secretly happy, the properties panel also opened. Properties panel. Stamina, 90. Speed, 90. Field of view, 80. Field controllability, 80. The maximum score of attribute points is 100 points, reaching 85 and belonging to the 5 major league player levels. 60 points belong to amateur player enthusiasts, 40 points belong to ordinary people. After 3 hours, the car finally arrived at the designated hotel. Mr. Jiang Ning, please go to the hotel for a short rest. Tomorrow you will be invited to participate in the opening ceremony of this World Cup. Oria took Jiang Ning into the hotel, handed the box to the hotel staff and went to the front desk to go through the formalities. Is tomorrow's schedule out? Jiang Ning asked curiously. Oria, sorry, I don't know about that. Jiang Ning nodded and asked no more. Then follow the hotel staff to board the elevator. Mr. Jiang, this is your exclusive room. When you arrive for dinner, you will be reminded to go downstairs to eat, so you can contact us directly if you need anything. The staff took Jiang Ning to the luxurious room. The room is fully equipped, with a separate living room. Because he had just crossed over, his body had not completely integrated, so he looked a little tired and went straight to sleep. Episode 2. The next day, Oria came to the hotel and invited Jiang Ning to the Carl Guoshaha Stadium to participate in the opening ceremony. Accompanied by other law enforcement judges from various countries. They are all from all over the world and are qualified to come here through layers of selection. When the judges arrived at the stadium on their exclusive buses, it was already packed. In addition to fans from all over the world, all the players from this edition also arrived on the scene. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the Karl World Cup Football International League. The representative of Karl's country spoke at the very center. This is a 4-year event, a carnival for all fans in the world. It is an honor that Karlsruhe can be the host of this time. Next, I announce, the opening ceremony officially begins. Rumble. As the words of the representative of Karlsruhe fell, the audience lit up with brilliant fire, and the passionate music instantly ignited the enthusiasm of tens of thousands of people in the audience. Karl World Cup officially unveiled. After a cheer, the referees began to slowly walk into the stadium, and as they entered, the audience quieted down, because after the referee takes the oath and draws lots, the first game of this World Cup will begin. Jiang Ning was also among them, striding with his head held high, and came to the middle of the stadium. Next, please ask the representatives of the major referees to take the oath. Referee representatives, representing major states, such as Europe, Africa, Asia, etc. So the process is not complicated. Soon, it will be the turn of the Asian referee representative to take the oath. Jiang Ning took a step forward and walked to the front of the stage. He said in standard Chinese language, "I take the oath on behalf of the Karl World Cup Football League, all the referees in Asia. We promise to hold high the FIFA Fair Play banner in the competition, and resolutely implement the referee work policy of honesty and justice, seriousness, strictness, and accuracy, fight for fair play and great competition." Oath taker, Jiang Ning. Wow. The scene immediately erupted into a burst of discussion. The audience naturally knew that Huaxia football failed to participate in this World Cup League, but they did not expect that the referee of Huaxia could come to Karl, and he was also the referee representative of the Asian region. It's ridiculous. Huaxia people can also be law enforcement judges? Why can a referee who doesn't have a team represent Asia? At this time, in the corner of the stand, the players from Kimchi country laughed. Compared to Huaxia, they are just the opposite. Their football team came to Karl, but none of the referees could pass the FIFA selection. With the nature of the people of the pickle country, it is natural to be jealous. Okay, Sun Mingxing, he is a referee after all. You say this carefully when people hear it. At this time, the assistant teacher of the pickle country couldn't help but remind him. Sun Mingxing disagreed. Why? Did I say something wrong? How weak is Huaxia's football? The whole world knows that their genes are not good. Immediately, a teammate answered, I seriously doubt that this Huaxia referee can finish a game. I'm afraid he won't be able to breathe for half a game, right? Ha ha ha. As soon as these words came out, they immediately caused a burst of laughter. Sun Mingxing, humph. The sick man of East Asia, the body is weak like this, it is okay to mix in China, want to come to the World Cup such a high-intensity event to enforce the law? You guys wait and see, when he referees the game, it will definitely become the joke of this World Cup. The players of the pickle country also showed a sneer. For Huaxia, who is stronger than them in everything, but only football is not as good as them, he is naturally very dissatisfied with Jiang Ning. Oath complete. Representative Karl continued. Next, invite the referees to draw lots for the fixture. This is the final process of the opening ceremony. Soon, representatives of FIFA arrived and began the exciting drawing ceremony. Jiang Ning, as the representative of the Asian region, also quickly drew the schedule that he will enforce. Group F second game, Uguo vs Kimchi country. Jiang Ning raised his eyebrows, and then handed over the envelope to FIFA. For the fairness of the competition, the results of this round of drawing are to be made public on the spot. After the disclosure, all their referees will enter the referee's room and will not have any contact with the outside world. When the match referred by Jiang Ning was announced, the players of Kimchi country were first stunned, and then their faces were full of mockery. Sun Mingxing sneered. It's actually Jiang Ning to be the referee. Brothers, don't be polite with him then. The Chinese football world, whether it is the referee or the team, is a soft persimmon, so pinched. As long as we are tough, this Jiang Ning penalty will definitely be weak, and this is also our opportunity to strive to score 3 points on Wugua. At this time, Jiang Ning also cast his gaze towards the place where the players of Kimchi country were located. Jiang Ning smiled secretly in his heart. Humph. This pickle country's means are not a little dirty, but, unfortunately, you met me. Episode 3. With the end of the drawing ceremony, the judges were also introduced into the referee's room. Immediately afterwards, the opening match of the 22 Karl World Cup officially began. This first game is naturally the match of the host Karlsruhe. Because he is not the referee of Jiang Ning, he only watches the battle through the big screen in the referee's room. This game was not too intense, and even a little dull. Jiang Ning closed his eyes after watching for a while. And just as the match in Karl country was about to end, Oria knocked on the door and walked in. Oria, referee Jiang Ning, the next match between the country of Wu and the country of Kimchi that you referee. Are you ready? Jiang Ning, ready, let's go. After that, Jiang Ning stood up, took out the red and yellow cards from his box, and stuffed them into his chest pocket. Under the arrangement of the organizer, I put on the intercom equipment and strode to the backstage of the arena. Not long after, the whistle at the end of the first game sounded, and Karlsruhe fought his opponent 1-1, and the draw ended. A large number of spectators also began to leave, and the audience of the second show also poured in. The second game, Uzukuni vs Kimchi country. It's a game with unpredictable wins and losses. Although the country of Ukraine has top players like Suyasi and Cavalli, the country of Kimchi also has a rising star, Sun Mingxing. The fans on both sides were enthusiastic and shouting madly, and before the game started, the smell of gunpowder was full. Soon, players from both sides entered, and Jiang Ning also strode over with 2 assistant referees. Audience friends of Huaxia. Here is the live broadcast of the Carl World Cup 22. The first Carl country match just now ended 1:1. Now, I will bring you the second game, the battle between the 2 teams of the country of Ukraine and the country of pickles. I am today's commentator Jiang Wei, and beside me is today's guest, Mr. Fan Ziyi. Countless Huaxia fans squatted in front of the screen, watching this exciting battle. Compared with the first Carl country match, the match between Yuzukuri and Kimchi country is undoubtedly more interesting. Jiang Wei, director Fan, do you have any opinion on this game? Fan Ziyi. If nothing else, the first thing worth mentioning is that the main referee of this match is our Jiang Ning from Huaxia. Fan Ziyi. As the only referee in Huaxia to appear on the World Cup stage, this is the pride of our Huaxia people, Jiang Wei said with a smile. Hee, our Huaxia football failed to enter the World Cup, and the Huaxia referee went, which can be regarded as winning glory for our Huaxia people. Fan Ziyi, that's right. Fan Ziyi, this Jiang Ning used to have a tough style when he was in the Huaxia law enforcement competition, and I don't know if he will maintain his consistent style when he comes to the World Cup. Jiang Wei, I see. There is a high probability that it will still converge, right? Jiang Wei, after all, when I was the referee of Huaxia, I faced some domestic players, and the World Cup was different, and I faced the world's top stars. Jiang Wei, if it's too tough, it's not necessarily a good thing for him. What do you think? Fan Ziyi, you are right. If you are too tough, it is easy to be boycotted by joint names. These stars are not light, and they will bring him trouble. Fan Ziyi, anyway, let's wait and see. Looking forward to Jiang Ning's law enforcement performance in this game. While the two were talking, the game was about to begin. After the national anthem of both sides was played, the handshake ceremony between the players and the referee began. The players of Wugwa shook hands with Jiang Ning, which is the sportsmanship on the field and the most basic quality of professional players. But when he arrived at the Kimchi country, Sun Mingxing came over with a smile. Sun Mingxing stretched out his hand, but just when he was about to touch Jiang Ning's hand, he took it back. Immediately afterwards, he sneered, passed by, and deliberately bumped Jiang Ning with his shoulder. He wants to give Jiang Ning a dismount. Let him know that Huaxia people are not qualified to stand on this arena, not even as a referee. This scene was well captured by the camera and witnessed by audiences all over the world. What does this mean? Provoke our Huaxia referee. Don't shake hands and collide with each other. Jiang Ning won't be soft, just endure it like this. I don't obey. Hey, after all, we don't have a team in Huaxia to participate. Jiang Ning can bear with it, otherwise there will be no one from us in the arena. The audience was in an uproar and angry. Sun Mingxing obviously didn't put Jiang Ning in his eyes, but if the audience thinks about it, it is normal for Huaxia football to be looked down upon so far. However, what shocked them even more was Jiang Ning's next move. Jiang Ning's face sank, and then he took out a yellow card directly from his pocket. Yellow card warning once. Wow, the audience was in an uproar. The world is boiling, especially the people of Huaxia roared excitedly. Jiang Ning is the referee of Huaxia, and when he saw Sun Mingxing's action, his first reaction was also angry. But after seeing Jiang Ning pulling out the cards without hesitation, he only felt an incomparable relief. Huaxia TV, sitting in the studio, commentator Jiang Wei and Fan Ziyi were also dumbfounded. Haha. See? This is the toughness of the Huaxia referee. The game has not even started to pull out the cards. There is temper. There is personality. It is addictive. It is too enjoyable. Let this gang of Kimchi people know that what it is to offend my Huaxia, although it is far from being judged. Episode 4. There was a commotion in Shaohe Stadium. The game hadn't even started, just a handshake, and the referee showed a yellow card. This is rare on the playing field, especially in a field like the World Cup, because any card may affect the outcome of the game. Therefore, both the players and the referees will be very cautious. Sun Mingxing's actions just now were naturally seen, but many people thought that if it was other referees, they might just turn a blind eye or give a verbal warning. But I didn't expect that this referee from Huaxia would be so strong. On the sidelines, the coach of Kimchi country cursed angrily. It's not impossible to eat cards, but you have to eat on the point. If the opponent forms a single knife, or is a huge threat to their goal, it is understandable to choose to foul and eat a card. However, Sun Mingxing ate a card because of this little action, and he lost blood. The coach of the pickle country jumped to his feet angrily, and secretly scolded Jiang Ning in his heart for being too harsh. Kimchi people are like this, never looking for reasons in themselves, only pushing the problem onto others. Referee, this is a bit of a fuss, isn't it? Please take back your yellow card. It's not fair. Sun Mingxing just accidentally slipped under his feet, not intentionally offending you. At this time, the players of Kimchi country came up one after another and spoke for Sun Mingxing. Sun Mingxing's face was difficult to see, and his eyes stared at Jiang Ning deadly, as if he wanted to swallow him alive. He wanted to give Jiang Ning a disgrace and warn him not to be too crazy, but he didn't think about it. But he was deflated. Shut up, Jiang Ning said coldly. Are you questioning my sentence? One more word, all yellow card warnings. As soon as these words came out, the players of Kimchi country immediately stopped eating, and did not dare to say more. but they all had a look of dissatisfaction on their faces. In the studio of Huaxia TV, Jiang Wei and Fan Zi were dumbfounded, staring at the screen blankly, forgetting that they were broadcasting the commentary live for a while. Jiang Wei, everyone, there is a situation on the scene. Jiang Wei. Before the game started, Kimchi national player Sun Mingxing showed a yellow card because he refused to shake hands with the referee. Fan Zi. It seems that we are both wrong. Jiang Ning is still as tough as ever, even in the World Cup. He is still ruthless. Fan Zi. We see that the barrage sent by the fans of Huaxia is crazy. Jiang Ning, good luck. Huaxia fans frantically poured into the live broadcast room, sending barrages. Among them, the most eye-catching is the shouting of Brother Huaxia's money. Brother Ning is domineering. Give us Huaxia people a long face. Behind this barrage, there are more than 1 million likes. Beep. Inside the stadium, after the farce just now, it also quieted down. With the sound of Jiang Ning's whistle, the game officially began. Uzukuni serves first. They mainly play the 442 formation, and at the front of the formation, naturally Suyas and Cavalli are two shooters, who have strong firepower on the offensive end. On the Kimchi countryside, the 532 formation is used. Obviously, the Kimchi country also knows that the country of Uzbekistan is strong, and pays more attention to defense, trying to use defensive counterattacks to break the game. Left side, through the back and forth passing in the midfield, Wugwa got rid of the pressing of the Kimchi country players and sent the ball to the position on the left wing. Immediately afterwards, the left winger saw Suyasi rushing towards him, and he crossed to pass the ball. And at this time, the defensive players of the Kimchi country finally arrived and forcibly shoveled from behind. The left wing of the Ukrainian country immediately covered his feet and fell to the ground, wailing in pain. Beep. Jiang Ning blew the whistle and rushed quickly. Immediately afterwards, under the surprised eyes of tens of thousands of people at the scene, Jiang Ning once again took out the yellow card. Wow. This caused dissatisfaction among the players of Kimchi country, and they all stepped forward to protest. Dog stuff. Sun Mingxing couldn't help but scold. Jiang Ning turned his head and sternly reprimanded with the standard pickle Chinese, warning, "Don't think I can't understand kimchi. If you let me hear it again, you'll be ready to go." Sun Mingxing's face changed. He never expected that Jiang Ning was actually proficient in kimchi. At this time, he was a little afraid of this man and did not dare to provoke with words. Jiang Ning continued to say in kimchi language, "When it is determined that the football cannot be touched, it is a malicious foul to forcibly shovel. I warn you, in this stadium where I blow the penalty, don't try to do these little actions." Whoops. There was a thunderous applause at the scene. For nothing else, just for this tough law enforcement attitude. In the Huaxia live broadcast room, it is also boiling again. Jiang Wei and Fan Zi also grew their mouths, and they were a little crying and laughing. Jiang Wei, what does Director Fan think of this penalty? Fan Zi, I think it's necessary. Fan Zi, first of all, the players of Kimchi country are indeed malicious fouls. According to the rules of the football game, the tackle must go to the ball. Fan Zi, because this is a very dangerous move, the pickle country players make a tackle behind the left winger of Wugwa, which is definitely going to eat cards. Fan Zi, secondly, I guess that referee Jiang Ning is setting the tone for this game, warning the players on both sides where his penalty scale is, and don't try to trample on the rules. When Jiang Wei heard this, he sighed and said, Director Fan is right, football matches, what is needed is a referee like Jiang Ning, and the players will be in awe of the rules and in awe of football. Episode 5. The game continues. After Jiang Ning showed the second yellow card and verbally warned, the players of Kimchi country did not dare to say more. It's just that you can see from their eyes that they are very unconvinced by Jiang Ning. They haven't seen a referee like this. Jiang Ning awarded Wugwa a free kick on the left side of the front. It's a nice location. According to the distance, it is possible to either hit the door directly or break the defense line of the pickle country by transferring. So, this ball was given to Suyasi to take the penalty. Beep. After the pickle country player stood on the wall, with Jiang Ning's whistle, Suyasi ran and volleyed. Boom. The football crossed the human wall and flew towards the dead corner of the goal, extremely fast, so that the goalkeepers of Kimchi country did not have time to react. It's a pity that in the end, it hit the crossbar, bounced on the body of the Ukrainian player, and flew out of the bottom line. It's a goal ball. The ball returned to the hands of Kimchi country. This made many fans of Kimchi country breathe a long sigh of relief. You know, this match has only started less than 2 minutes, and if it is broken at the beginning, the game of Kimchi country will become extremely difficult. Immediately afterwards, the pickle national goalkeeper threw the ball. Kimchi country did not rush forward, but played steadily, continuously doing passes in the midfield, looking for opportunities. Suyas and Cavalli, as forwards, naturally want to find opportunities to steal, and they have stepped forward to press. But with the formation of Kimchi country 532, it is difficult to threaten unless it is a high-intensity high-level pressing. Shout. Suddenly, Kimchi country Sun Mingxing beckoned to his midfield teammates, found the right time, and stepped forward. The midfield teammate was interested, and immediately sent a long pass to the feet of Sun Mingxing. Sun Mingxing's eyes lit up, and he drove straight in, rushing to the forbidden area of Wugwa. Wow. Sun Mingxing, rush, my god, I will definitely score, burst the opponent's goal. As soon as the football reached Sun Mingxing's feet, the fans of the pickle team on the scene erupted into screams. As a rising star, he has a high popularity in Kimchi country. And this time, the forward insertion is indeed extremely tricky, almost forming a single knife, and only 2 players in Ukraine are close behind. This is a huge threat to the goal of Uzbekistan. But at this moment, Jiang Ning's eyes were fierce and he whistled. Beep. Offside. Wow. With 2 whistles. The audience was in an uproar. Sun Mingxing turned around angrily. He had clearly paid attention to his position just now, and he should not be offside. So he thinks that Jiang Ning is targeting him against the Kimchi country. Black whistle. This referee is targeting. How can he whistle like this? I suspect he has brought personal emotions. No, this is also blowing. There is no heavenly reason. The fans of Kimchi country also expressed their dissatisfaction one after another, and there were bursts of angry curses at the scene. Even the linesman looked puzzled. He did not raise the flag, because this ball just now, from his subjective consciousness, Sun Mingxing was not offside. Seeing that the linesman did not say, the players of Kimchi country were even more indignant, and they all gathered around, saying that this was Jiang Ning's misjudgment and asked Jiang Ning to withdraw the penalty. In the Huaxiao live broadcast room, Jiang Wei and Fan Zi both frowned. Jiang Wei, director Fan, this ball just now, is Sun Mingxing really offside? Fan Zi shook his head. It's hard to say, but if you don't even raise the linesman, I'm afraid. Jiang Wei, director Fan's implication is Jiang Ning miscalculated? Fan Zi, I didn't say, I can only say that this is possible. Fan Zi, after all, everyone knows that blowing offsides is generally a lineman. Fan Zi, this is not to say that only the linesman can blow, but with the referee's vision, it is almost impossible to accurately judge whether a player is offside. Fan Zi, so, I don't know very well, in the absence of a lineman raising the flag, how Jiang Ning determined that Sun Mingxing was offside. Jiang Wei nodded. It seems that we can only wait for the camera to play back. On the playing field, Jiang Ning was surrounded by the players of Kimchi country and looked calm. He didn't explain anything, just pointed to the big screen on the sidelines. At this time, the replay of the pass just now has also been shown. Everyone watched intently. From the point of view of slow motion, at the moment when the midfielder of Kimchi country got up and passed the ball, Sun Mingxing's position, compared to the position of the last defensive player in Wugua, exceeded a little. This silk, I'm afraid it's less than 5 centimeters. Offside. It is indeed offside. The audience was silent. The 2 linesmen also grew their mouths in shock, even by Ka. What kind of monster is he? Only 5 centimeters can be seen. Not to mention whether this punishment scale is too harsh. This godlike judgment alone is beyond their imagination. Even if the lineman is staring at it all the time, the 5-centimeter gap that is difficult to determine with the naked eye. But now it is captured by Jiang Ning, who has a limited field of vision. The players of Kimchi country were dumbfounded, and Sun Mingxing opened his mouth even more, speechless. The distance of 5 centimeters is almost negligible on such a wide field, and the average referee will not bite. But this Jiang Ning, not only blowing the punishment harshly, but also his eyes are so sharp. This made Sun Mingxing so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. The Huaxiao live broadcast room also boiled, and Jiang Wei and Fan Zi were so surprised that they opened their mouths. The 2 looked at each other. How exactly did he do it? Episode 6. In the Huaxiao live broadcast room, the barrage is crazy. Just now, Huaxia fans were a little worried. After all, they all understand the ball. Even the linesman did not raise the flag. How can a referee judge offside? But the fact not only slapped the face of the pickle country fiercely, but also made them have a big long face. Whoosh! Joyfully. Seeing no, the expression of the pickle man is too painful. Look at our brother Ning. Don't bother to make any explanation. A finger on the big screen. The face is so crackling. Domineering my brother Ning, the pride of Huaxia. Love, love, love. The barrage is rejoicing, and the fans of Huaxia are cheering heartily. Jiang Wei and Fan Zi looked stunned. It is because they know the ball that they find this incredible. Jiang Wei, this, I can't believe it's true. Fan Zi, but this is a fact. Jiang Wei, director Fan, this offside of less than 5 centimeters, under normal circumstances, how will the penalty be awarded? Fan Zi, if it is an ordinary game, such a small gap generally depends on the subjective will of the referee, which can be blown or not. Fan Zi, but don't forget, this is in the World Cup. It's okay to be strict. Jiang Wei said with a smile. Hee. I saw that there were already a lot of barrages saying that Jiang Ning was being sentenced with a ruler. Fan Zi, this is a joke, but it does show that Jiang Ning's law enforcement is very strict. Jiang Wei, what I want to know is, how did he do it? Fan Zi, I guess, there is only one possibility. Fan Zi said in a condensed voice. That is rich experience and keen insight. Other than that, I can't think of any other possibility. In fact, it is indeed as Fan Zi said. The reason why Jiang Ning was able to determine that Sun Mingxing was offside was precisely because of his rich experience in scoring penalties and his accurate judgment of the player's position. From the moment the pickle national midfielder passed the ball, Jiang Ning had already realized that Sun Mingxing was launching a little too fast, plus Sun Mingxing's body leaned forward, he judged that he was offside. It turned out that his judgment was correct and extremely accurate. The Kimchi country players can only leave dejected, facts speak louder than words, and they have nothing to say. Beep. The game continues. Because of Sun Mingxing's offside, the initiative that was hard to grasp this time came to naught, and the ball returned to the Ukrainian side again. With Jiang Ning present, Kimchi country no longer dared to make any radical moves, and it was a lot more honest. It is precisely because of this that the country of Ukraine has also launched a wild and indiscriminate offensive against the country of Kimchi. However, Kimchi country adopts a 532 formation with strong defensive strength, and Wugwa failed to pry open Kimchi country's goal for a while. 30 minutes have passed, and the score is still 0-0. For such a long time, Jiang Ning almost ran in the half-court range of Kimchi country. He is a good referee and needs to be precise in his control of the movements and predictions of football. It is necessary to ensure that your vision can clearly see the movements of everyone around the football, but also to ensure that your position does not affect the performance of the players. There is such a saying, players are running after football, and the referee is to run after the football while avoiding football. These 30 minutes, for the players of Kimchi country, are undoubtedly under great pressure, sweating profusely and panting. On the other hand, Jiang Ning's face was not red and his heart was not beating, and his body was so dry that he didn't even have a trace of sweat. The newbie gift package given by the system made his physical strength comparable to that of a world-class star, and this running intensity was not even a warm-up exercise for Jiang Ning. The game continued, and the focus of the attack was on Suyas and Cavalli. Kimchi country also knows this, so it is strictly guarded for the two, and once the two take the ball, they must face the siege of several Kimchi country players. It's over. Suddenly, Wugwa kicked straight and passed the football to Suyasi in the middle, and Suyasi, who was originally going to respond, missed a foot. A fake trick deceived the defenders of Kimchi country, and the football came to the feet of Ukrainian winger Perist. What's more, Perister was unguarded at this time. Great chance to break a goal. Perist lifted his foot, stopped the ball, and shot in one go. But at this critical moment, a Kimchi country defender rushed over, raised his foot high, and tried to resist and interfere with Perist. The football shot out like a cannonball, but because of the excessive force, it went above the beam and flew into the audience. The fans of Kimchi country breathed a sigh of relief, and the hearts that had been tense all the time also relaxed a little. After all, football flew out of the bottom line. At least the ball was returned to the hands of the pickle country, which can suspend the offensive of the Ukrainian country. Beep. However, just hearing Kimchi country, it was just relaxing that harsh whistle sounded again. Jiang Ning ran over and took out a yellow card from his chest under the shocked gaze of the audience. You, raise your foot too high, dangerous action, yellow card warning once. Wow, the whole audience is boiling. Huaxiao's live broadcast room is even more crazy. I know that my brother Ning won't get used to them. This is a bright soul. There is nothing wrong with eating cards. Although it didn't hurt anyone. Who is my brother Ning? There is not a grain of sand in his eyes. I would like to call him a grain of sand in football. Don't let it be dark. Episode 7. What a situation. Give another card. Smekta. How many yellow cards has this referee prepared? Take out one at every turn. What does that penalty mean? Is it a random sentence? Protest. Strong protest. In Shaohe Stadium, the insults of the whole stadium were all from the fans of Kimchi country. In particular, some brainless fans didn't even understand what it meant to raise their feet too high, so they accused Jiang Ning of blowing the whistle indiscriminately and deliberately targeting the pickle national team. On the contrary, the players of Kimchi country have nothing to say about this, but their eyes can't help but rise with anger, but they dare not speak angrily. Jiang Ning's punishment is not too faulty, but the problem is too strict. It is clear that the punishment can be turned a blind eye, but it is merciless and excessive. The members of the Kimchi country are already very careful. If it is placed in peacetime, in the face of such a situation, they will definitely use some dirty little actions. But in front of Jiang Ning, they only dared to interfere with Perist with their feet raised. This is also a trial, testing Jiang Ning's bottom line of punishment. But what I didn't expect was that Jiang Ning would be so strict that he really didn't give him the slightest bit of face. In the Huaxiao live broadcast room, Jiang Wei and Fan Ziyi couldn't help but laugh. Fan Ziyi, Jiang Ning's punishment is even tougher and more rigorous than when he was in China. Jiang Wei, Director Fan, I see that many fans of Kimchi country don't seem to understand what it means to raise their feet too high. Why don't you explain it to them? Fan Ziyi, raising your foot too high is also a kind of malicious foul. Fan Ziyi, everyone should know, what is the sole of a football boot? It studs. Fan Ziyi, under normal circumstances, the actions of bright soles are dangerous actions, which can easily cause injuries to opposing players. Fan Ziyi, so, there is no problem with Jiang Ning's punishment. Jiang Wei, haha. Thanks to Director Fan for his explanation, and also thank Jiang Ning for teaching a lesson to the players and fans of Kimchi country. Beep. With the sound of the whistle, the game continues. Because of Jiang Ning's decision, Wugwa got a well-placed free kick in front of the court. This time, Suyas and Cavalli were both standing in front of the ball. The two looked at each other, and Cavalli started running. But just when the pickle country players thought they were going to shoot, Cavalli skimmed directly past the football. Then, when his figure flashed, Suyasi had already raised his foot and shot the football towards the goal of Kimchi country. It's a tactical free kick. Shout. The football cuts an S-shaped arc in the air, runs towards the dead corner of the goal, and then responds to the sound. 1:0. Jiang Ning pointed forward with his arm to indicate that the goal was effective. Rumble. The fans of Uzbekistan rejoiced, roared, and boiled. It was a brilliant combination, a wonderful free kick. Su Yasi grabbed the national emblem on his chest and kissed it lightly. His teammates rushed over and hugged him. Some people roared up to the sky, and some slapped their chests hard, expressing the joy of scoring goals. On the other hand, on the side of Kimchi country, it is all gloomy. Sun Mingsing's gloomy face crossed his waist with his hands, and his eyes stared at Jiang Ning, deadly. In the eyes of the Kimchi country, all this is caused by Jiang Ning. If it weren't for his decision, this goal would not have been possible. In an event of the level of the World Cup, national honor is above all else, and Jiang Ning has undoubtedly become the devil in the eyes of the pickle people. Beep. Jiang Ning blew the whistle, and the game continued. The ball returned to the feet of Kimchi Nation, who were more cautious, passing back and forth in midfield, looking for opportunities. Give it to me. Sun Mingsing beckoned, and from the position of the midfield, he began to run towards the goal of Wugua. He wants to equalize the score with his individual ability. Speed and explosiveness have always been his proud strengths, and this is his chance. Shout. With a long pass, the football crossed the halftime and rushed in the direction of the Ukrainian goal. Sun Mingsing's speed was extremely fast, and the 3 Ukrainian defense defenders were chasing behind him, but they were always a little far behind. A single knife was formed. Sun Mingsing's heart was ecstatic. In front of him, there was only the goalkeeper of Wugua alone. With his ability, trying to get past the goalkeeper is simply a breeze. As long as this goal is scored, he will become a hero of Kimchi country. Closer, closer. The 3 defenders behind him couldn't catch up at all. A smile welled up on his face in advance, his standard smile after scoring a goal, for which he had practiced in front of the mirror countless times. In terms of speed, who can compare to me? Well, what the? Just as Sun Mingsing was about to raise his foot to shoot, a figure appeared not far behind him and overtook him with lightning speed. Jiang Ning? Sun Mingsing was stunned, and a smile froze on his face. He didn't expect that Jiang Ning's speed would be so fast. You know, when he started running from the midfield just now, Jiang Ning was still a long distance behind him. In such a short time, not only caught up, but also ran farther than him? It's not scientific. Is he Superman? At this time, Sun Mingsing had already brought the ball to not far in front of the goal. The goalkeeper of the Ukrainian country has also taken the initiative to attack and reach out to intercept. But Sun Mingsing was briefly stunned because of Jiang Ning's sudden appearance. With such a slight stunned effort, he had missed the best shooting opportunity. In a hurry, he could only shoot in a hurry, and finally, the football was saved by the Ukrainian goalkeeper. Beep. Jiang Ning's face was expressionless, and he pointed to the corner. Corner kick. Episode 8. Corner kick. Sun Mingsing was lying on the ground and smashed his fist on the ground angrily. Miss a single opportunity. It was obviously a great opportunity to become a savior, but it failed to seize it. Not only will this not bring him any benefit, but it will cause a lot of scolding. Sigh. Sure enough, many fans of Kimchi country booed in disappointment. Almost in the face of the empty door, but unable to shoot, deserved to be scolded. Only Sun Mingsing knew that the real reason for his mistake was because of Jiang Ning. Jiang Ning's sudden appearance suddenly broke his state and broke the pride in his heart. Simply put, it's a defense. Don't mention how much he is holding back in his heart. Missed the opportunity to become a savior, but became the target of abuse from fans. What can he say? Could it be that he made a mistake because the referee ran too fast and affected himself? If you say this, I am afraid that it will be ridiculed by fans all over the world. Sun Mingsing raised his head and looked at Jiang Ning, who was expressionless, and was a little stunned for a while. Is this still the sick man of East Asia in his impression? This is still the Chinese man in his consciousness who needs at will like a soft persimmon. Also, his speed, a Huaxia referee, is not yet a player, and he is even faster than him? Even after rushing to the whole scene, Jiang Ning's face was not red and his heart was not beating, and he didn't even take a breath. On the other hand, looking at himself gasping for air, Sun Mingsing had an unreal feeling. Resentment and jealousy suddenly filled his heart, and the eyes looking at Jiang Ning also became deeper. Inside the Huaxia studio, Jiang Wei, dear audience, Sun Mingsing missed the perfect opportunity to go singular. The score is still 1 o'clock, and Uzbekistan is ahead. Jiang Wei, however, compared to Sun Mingsing's mistake, I am more puzzled. Jiang Ning's speed just now. Director Fan, did you see it? Fan Ziyi nodded. I saw it. I also think it's incredible. Jiang Wei, if I'm right, the speed that Jiang Ning just burst out has reached the level of a world-class star, right? Fan Ziyi, I can say responsibly, more than that. Jiang Wei, if you have the opportunity, I really want to take another look. The picture of Jiang Ning rushing just now. It must be very shocking. Fan Ziyi, the camera should not have been captured, but the more detailed people should have found it. In fact, many people did notice Jiang Ning's terrifying speed. First of all, the 2 linesmen, shocked beyond words, they were following the ball the whole time. Naturally they saw Jiang Ning's figure dangling in front of them, like a ghost. In addition, many high-level FIFA officials also showed a thoughtful look. The referees in the referee room also noticed this and talked about it. In short, this law enforcement judge from Huaxia has become mysterious and tall in the hearts of many people. Beep. With a whistle, a pickle country corner kick is penalized. As always, this ball was aimed at Sun Mingsing. As the top scorer in Kimchi country, the absolute workhorse, at such times, teammates can only choose to believe him. However, the defenders of Wugwa are not vegetarians, and they stuck Sun Mingxing's position to death when they competed for the front point. The football finally fell into the hands of the Ukrainian goalkeeper and was held to death. Fans of Kimchi country showed a look of disappointment. After missing a solo chance, a corner kick gave them another glimmer of hope in their hearts. It wasn't until the ball returned to the Ukrainian side that their hopes were completely dashed. A hard-won attack opportunity in the Kimchi country was completely dismantled. The game continues. The Ukrainian goalkeeper drove his big foot out and accurately passed the football to the midfield. This was followed by the indiscriminate bombing of the country of Kimchi by the country of Ukraine. Although Sun Mingxing is a good shooter, what if he can't get the ball? Football is a sport for 11 people. It's not a stage for one person alone. Time passed and the first half was nearing its end. Jiang Ning gestured a gesture to the assistant referee, signaling 2 minutes of first half stoppage time. Under the strict defense of the pickle country, the country of Wugwa was unable to pry open the door of the other party again in the first half. Beep. Beep. With Jiang Ning's whistle, the first half of the game is over. The players left, and Jiang Ning also walked slowly to the referee's room. Sun Mingxing stared at Jiang Ning's back, and a gloomy look flashed in his eyes. This Jiang Ning is obviously targeting us. Be sure to give him a little color in the second half. Sun Mingxing said to his teammates next to him, when the second half comes, you guys give me a chance. I want him to know how good I am. The Kimchi country player nodded fiercely. Okay, just use the trick we used before. After intermission, the players from both sides continue to return to the field and the second half begins. The country of Ukraine still maintains a strong offensive, pressing the country of Kimchi throughout the whole process, making them miserable. Because of Jiang Ning's existence, the players of Kimchi country did not dare to make any small moves, and the pressure on the defense line was huge. Middle road, give it to me. Cavalli beckoned to the right winger, found a loophole, and got into the restricted area of Kimchi country. After the right winger got rid of the defender, a high cross sent the ball high into the box. Because Cavalli is tall, it's perfect for a nod of the ball, but the accident happened at this time. In order to compete for the high point, a player from Kimchi country jumped up and pressed on Cavalli's body. Cavalli fell to the ground, clutching his chest in pain and rolling on the grass. Beep. Jiang Ning's whistle sounded, and he did not disappoint anyone. Affectionately known as a grain of sand white by Huaxia fans, he cannot tolerate the existence of the slightest darkness. I saw Jiang Ning take out a yellow card and aim it at the players who pressed people in the country of Kimchi. Suddenly, the barrage in the Huaxia live broadcast room became dense again. Let's just say that Brother Ning is really ruthless, and he obeys the Kimchi people neatly. You don't understand, the Kimchi people's methods are very dirty. That is, my Brother Ning is here, otherwise they can be so honest? To be honest, I doubt that Brother Ning is deliberately putting small shoes on the Kimchi country. However, this barrage has just been sent, and the Huaxia fans are dumbfounded, because Jiang Ning gave the player of Kimchi country a yellow card warning, and then showed a yellow card to Cavalli. Wow, the stadium was in an uproar. Cavalli is clearly a victim, isn't he? Now I am still lying on the ground in pain. Why do I have to eat cards? What? Cavalli couldn't believe his eyes. His face was innocent. Jiang Ning's face was indifferent, and he said in fluent English. I said, don't play these little tricks in front of me. Don't try to trample on the rules. I said, don't play these little actions in front of me. Don't try to trample on the rules. You, yellow card warning. You, fake fall, yellow card warning once. Episode 9. Jiang Ning showed 2 yellow cards in a row, and the stadium was in an uproar. Not only here, but fans watching this match through screens around the world are numb. I'm sure this is definitely the strictest and fairest judge I've ever seen. Before, I thought he was deliberately targeting the Kimchi country, but now I solemnly withdraw these words. Jiang Ning is a respectable referee. The World Cup needs him. Football needs him. In the Huaxia live broadcast room, fans are also calling madly for Jiang Ning. Brother Ning, I'm wrong. I actually thought that you were wearing small shoes for the Kimchi country, but I was too small. Fairness and justice carry forward positive energy, and the Chinese spirit rushes to the world. From today onwards, I will be Brother Ning's fangirl, and in the future, I will record all the matches of Brother Ning's referee and watch them every day. Inside the Huaxia studio, Jiang Ning showed 2 yellow cards in a row. What do you think of Director Fan? Fan Z. I don't think Cavalli has to do that at all. Fan Z. I guess that Cavalli probably also mistakenly thought that Jiang Ning was deliberately targeting the Kimchi country from Jiang Ning's previous punishment. Fan Z. So he thought that if he fell with such a trend, maybe Jiang Ning would award him a penalty. Jiang Wei nodded. It's possible, because when I was competing for the high point just now, I was in the forbidden area. Fan Z. He will be completely wrong. Jiang Ning, as a professional referee, in the field of law enforcement, he is a just ruler, and there will be no favoritism. Jiang Wei smiled and said, Cavalli is indeed too careless. Jiang Wei, then Director Fan, do you think this penalty will have an impact on the game? Fan Z. There is definitely an impact, but most of the pressure is still on the Kimchi country. Fan Z. They are used to using some small means to gain the initiative, and now with Jiang Ning around, they have become restrained. Fan Z. Coupled with the backwardness of the score and Sun Mingxing's mistake just now, these are all invisible pressures. Jiang Wei, so Director Fan, are you optimistic about Wugwa next? Fan Z joked. When have I been optimistic about Kimchi country? Jiang Wei, ha ha ha. That's right. Beep. Jiang Ning sounded the whistle and the game continued. Because of the 2 yellow cards, the ball is still at the feet of the Ukrainian state. The country of Ukraine continued to launch a siege of the country of Kimchi. The midfielder and defender are entrenched in the half-court position, so every time the football is released by Kimchi country, the back point continues to be taken by Wugwa, forming a cycle. Kimchi country also wants to open up the situation, but if you divide players to go to the midfield, the back line must be tight and it is easy to lose the ball. Once the score is enlarged, then the chances of them turning around this game are very small. Sun Mingxing. At this time, a midfielder in Kimchi country finally snatched the ball with all his might. The first time, the player passed the football to Sun Mingxing, who was standing in the midfield position and ready at any time. Good. Sun Mingxing waved his hand, and at the same time, began to run towards the goal of Wugwa. The football was passed to his feet, and Sun Mingxing was suddenly shocked. The opportunity has finally come. He wants to use his speed and breakthrough ability to rewrite the score. However, how could Wugwa, which had suffered 2 losses on Sun Mingxing, not take precautions? Almost as soon as the Kimchi national midfielder got the ball, the 3 defenders of Wugwa had already begun to retreat. 1-3. Sun Mingxing's heart sank, facing 3 defensive players, and all of them were prepared in advance. His speed could not be played at all. Oops. Sun Mingxing glanced back. The players of Wugwa had already begun to catch up here. If he couldn't raise his speed, this wave of counterattacks would end in failure again. In a hurry, Sun Mingxing subconsciously raised his knees, wanting to make a small move for the defenders in front of him. As long as someone on the other side falls, he can seize this gap and break through in an instant. Hiss. However, the moment he raised his foot, Jiang Ning's figure had already appeared not far from him, staring at his every move sharply. Sun Mingxing subconsciously gasped, and the foot that was originally raised was immediately put down. Jiang Ning is too terrible. Even if the punishment is ruthless, the speed is still so fast, like a shadow, he can't shake it off at all. Now he has a yellow card on him. If he eats again, he will be forced to play and miss the next game. The World Cup is the stage for him to pursue his dreams, and he is not willing to give up. However, he was stared at by Jiang Ning to death, and he couldn't do anything. This feeling made Sun Mingxing feel the urge to go crazy, and he felt that he was about to be driven crazy by Jiang Ning. Sun Mingxing, what the hell are you doing? There was a roar from outside the venue. Sun Mingxing came back to his senses, but it's already late. Just when Sun Mingxing raised and lowered his foot just now, the movements under his feet were actually uncoordinated. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Ukrainian defense defenders shoveled the football, fought for the ball, and launched a fast attack. Damn it! Sun Mingxing cursed secretly, and quickly turned around to chase back, but Uzbekistan will not give them a chance. All this happened too briefly, and the offensive and defensive transitions on the field were also changing rapidly. The players of Kimchi country had just rushed up, intending to pick up Sun Mingxing, and in the blink of an eye, the football flew back and headed towards their own goal. At this time, in front of the Kimchi country goal, there were only 2 defenders, but on the side of Ukraine, there are enough 3 strikers. The restricted area is 3-on-2, easy cooperation, simple passing, an inverted triangle, another volley, and the football should sound into the net. 2:0. Jiang Ning's arm pointed forward, the goal was effective, and the score was rewritten again. Ukrainian fans celebrated enthusiastically, and even some female fans frantically took off their shirts and waved the flag in their hands to express their excitement at this time. People who are not present cannot experience this atmosphere. This is the charm of football, but also the charm of sports competition. Suyas knelt on the grass, opened her arms, and felt the cheers of the court. But what is very interesting is that the direction of his open arms is towards the location of the Kimchi country fans. It's an alternative way of celebrating, and Suyasi's style is more flamboyant and full of personality. On the other hand, on the side of Kimchi country, several players walked in front of Sun Mingxing with ugly faces. Sun Mingxing, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you today? Not in any state at all. Because of your mistakes, we are likely to lose this game, you know. Sun Mingxing opened his mouth, and his eyes subconsciously looked at where Jiang Ning was. Jiang Ning has become his nightmare. Episode 10. Because of Sun Mingxing's mistake, Kimchi country lost the ball again, and the score was extended to 2 o'clock. In the face of the scolding of his teammates, Sun Mingxing was also angry. He is a first-tier star who plays for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. With his rise to prominence in recent years, he has barely made it to the ranks of first-tier stars. Even in the Premier League, he is an absolute workhorse. And what about the other teammates? It's just an ordinary player who plays in Kimchi, China, and in normal times, which one is not respectful to him? But now you dare to reprimand and hold him accountable like this? He was afraid of Jiang Ning's matter, and he couldn't explain it yet. Sun Mingxing could only endure his anger, pushed his teammates away, and walked to the side. When the teammates saw Sun Mingxing's attitude so bad, they couldn't help but scold secretly. Sun Mingxing, you give me over. What the hell are you doing? The head coach of Kimchi country couldn't bear it anymore and pulled Sun Mingxing. What about your state? Wasn't it nice at the beginning? What's going on with you now? You're our main goal scorer. If you can't get the spirit, what are we going to use to win the game? Wake me up. The game is not over yet. Sun Mingxing subconsciously glanced at Jiang Ning's location again, and then nodded reluctantly. He had the illusion that Jiang Ning was staring at him all the time. This feeling is as if the body is covered with bandages. Not only the hands and feet are disobedient, but there is even a feeling of suffocation. Inside the Huaxia studio, Jiang Wei. You can see that Sun Mingxing has made a serious mistake again. What is going on? Fan Ziyi. Now the score has been pulled to 2 o'clock, although the second half of the game has just begun. But with the current situation in Kimchi country, it is not easy to turn over. Fan Ziyi. And we can see that there seem to be some contradictions within the players of Kimchi country. Jiang Wei. 2 undeserved. At this time, infighting will not play any role, it will only make the situation worse. Jiang Wei, Director Fan, what do you think is the reason for Sun Mingxing's mistakes? Fan Ziyi, in fact, with Sun Mingxing's ability, the previous 2 opportunities were excellent. Such a mistake is too undeserved. Fan Ziyi, I guess it should have something to do with eating a yellow card at the beginning, which is a lot of pressure for Sun Mingxing. Jiang Wei, it makes sense. To put it bluntly, he shouldn't have provoked Jiang Ning's authority in the first place. Fan Ziyi, anyway, as the main shooter of the Kimchi country, if it goes on in such a state, the Kimchi country has no hope of reversing. Xiaohe Stadium. Kencha na, it's okay. Kencha na, it's okay. Kimchi country fans adjusted from the disappointment of losing the ball, shouting it's okay and cheering for Kimchi country. Even if this happens, the fans are still willing to be on their side. Sun Mingxing walked back to the arena, raised his head, and patted his face hard, trying to sober himself up. Beep. With the whistle of Jiang Ning, the game continues. The ball of Kimchi country. They seem a little eager, and the advancement of football is also a little impatient. The gap between 2 points is like a big rock, pressing on the hearts of all the players in Kimchi country. Be careful. The Kimchi players pushed the football with difficulty to the position close to the Ukrainian penalty area. Uzbekistan put up a defensive formation, keep them ahead, and doing a good job in defense is the most important. Therefore, the Pickle country players tried to break through several times, but they were blocked by the other party. Can't help it, the Pickle country players are even more anxious. Therefore, a left-winger player in Kimchi country, like Sun Mingxing, subconsciously wanted to stretch out his elbow when trying to break through, wanting to give the opposing player a look. Shout. Suddenly, Jiang Ning's figure appeared not far in front of him. A pair of sharp and cold eyes like eagle eyes stared at him with straight hairs in his heart. The left winger could only resist the urge to move the ball to the right. After receiving the ball, the player on the right side eagerly wanted to find an opportunity to send the ball to the middle, but he was defended to death by Wu Gua. In a hurry, he also wanted to use the usual little means, but at this moment, a knife-like look stared at him. Jiang Ning again. This Pickle country player only felt that his heart skipped a beat, and his subconscious body was stiff. Jiang Ning's eyes, which is the referee. Aren't referees supposed to be staring at the ball? But Jiang Ning was like a ghost, always able to keep an eye on them when they wanted to make small movements. Even players who do not have football under their feet want to create a gap through some small movements. Jiang Ning can predict it in time, and his eyes are fierce. What kind of monster is this? Even robots make mistakes, right? But why did Jiang Ning seem to have a doppelganger, staring at every player who wanted to foul like a ghost? Who the hell is he? Why is it so fast, so perceptive? The players of Kimchi country feel that they are about to be driven crazy by Jiang Ning. They have 11 players, 10 of whom pass football to each other on the field. But no matter where the ball goes, at whose feet, Jiang Ning can arrive as quickly as possible. Counting up, I'm afraid that Jiang Ning is running longer than any of their players. Looking at Jiang Ning again, his face still did not change, and he ran as easily as he was walking. What terrifying speed and endurance is this? It is not an exaggeration to use ghosts to describe Jiang Ning. For a time, the psychology of the players in Kimchi country was overshadowed, lingering, and extremely depressed. In fact, all this is thanks to Jiang Ning's strong ability to control the field and accurately predict the field. According to the data provided by the system, Jiang Ning's ability to control the field now has 80 points. You know, after getting the newbie package, Jiang Ning has gained an increase in physical strength, which is only 90 points, and the ability to control the field with 80 points is already surpassing many referees. Because of the existence of Jiang Ning, the players of Kimchi country suddenly became unguarded collectively, and they made mistakes one after another. Adhering to the principle of taking advantage of your illness to kill you, Wu Gua made many steals and launched fast attacks. If it weren't for the fact that the Kimchi national goalkeeper was still in form, I am afraid that the score would have been rewritten again. Wu. Finally, after seeing that all the players of Kimchi country were not in state and made a series of mistakes, the fans of Kimchi country couldn't help it, and opened their mouths to curse angrily. What rubbish kicked? Did you not eat at noon, or did you not drink milk? A bunch of idiots. The amateur teams in the community are better than you. Throw a lot of face to our Pickle country. For a while, angry curses filled the entire stadium. Sun Mingxing sneered. Now you know what I feel like, right? That man, it's the devil. All the players of Kimchi country looked at Jiang Ning, who looked indifferent, with a trace of fear in their eyes. Episode 11. That man, it's the devil. The Kimchi country players, including Sun Mingxing, cast a shadow in their hearts. Jiang Ning's harsh punishment and shadow-like figure completely restrained them, not to mention how much they were humiliated. The fans at the scene were cursing, and those disappointed eyes hit their hearts hard. So what to do? A player from Kimchi country asked. Sun Mingxing's eyes were fierce and said, now there is still time before the end of the game, we have to find a way to get Jiang Ning down. Get it down? Hiss. Kimchi country players gasped. I've only heard of forcing opposing players off the field, and I've never heard of killing referees. If this is discovered, the other players are hesitating, that's the referee. Think about it, now our team has 4 yellow cards. With Jiang Ning's sentence, we are likely to turn 2 yellows and 1 red. If you calculate it this way, it is better to use a person to fight Jiang Ning. And with the trick we commonly use, it will not necessarily be discovered, it is worth fighting. Sun Mingxing made his own little calculation. He knew that if he wanted to turn the tide of the war, he could only do this. After listening to it, the Kimchi country players also had a fierce look in their eyes and nodded heavily. Kim Young-jun, a defender from Kimchi country, said, I'll go, the backfield will be handed over to you. As long as we replace this referee, we have at least hope, otherwise we will only lose. Later, look at my eyes and act. We will fully cooperate with Kim Young-jun. Sun Mingxing patted Kim Young-jun's shoulder and gave the highest level of appreciation. The team can have such a teammate who has the courage to sacrifice the ego and complete the team's big me. Why worry about not winning the game? Inside the Huaxia studio, Jiang Wei, director Fan, you see that the Kimchi national team seems to be in no state. Jiang Wei, could it be that the infighting just now affected them? Fan Zi said seriously, it is also possible that the water and soil are not satisfied, and they have not yet adapted. Jiang Wei, haha, director Fan really likes to joke. The game continues. The goalkeeper of Kimchi country yelled at his teammates to cheer them up. The Ukrainian players also saw that the Kimchi country was no longer in shape, and the offensive was more ferocious. Why does Jiang Ning keep staring at me? Damn it. He's been staring at me too. Is he a ghost? Why bite me? Many players in Kimchi country are on the verge of collapse in their hearts, especially the defensive players. When defending and intercepting, they can't help but want to have some dragging small movements. But I was afraid of Jiang Ning's punishment. But if it's just a competition under the feet, their pickle country is inferior to the players of the Ukrainian country. Therefore, the side of Kimchi country has been pressed and beaten by Wugwa for a while, and the corner kick data is constantly refreshed. They have no better way to solve the fence, they can only keep kicking the ball out of bounds, or kicking out of the line. In the whole game, the busiest is probably the goalkeeper of the pickle country, tired and panting. In the beginning, he still had the energy to scold his teammates, but by now that the game was going on, he was no longer able to complain about this group of teammates. In the Huaxia live broadcast room, the barrage kept brushing. What's wrong with Kimchi country? Start laying out rotten now? It's really bad to play the level of Kimchi country. I am not convinced for the national football team. Kimchi country eats kimchi every day, shouldn't it be malnutrition? Appeal, do you want to import a little sea cucumber from Huaxia? The goalkeeper of Kimchi country is under pressure that should not be understood, and football, it turns out that it can still be a goalkeeper sport. In the competition venue, Jiang Ning's figure shuttled and walked steadily. Because of his excellent control ability and accurate anticipation, he can always appear near the football at the first time, which puts great pressure on the players of Kimchi country. However, for the Kimchi country, Jiang Ning is pressure, but for the Wu country, it is a godlike existence. Before the start of the game, they were ready to face these dirty tricks of Kimchi country, and the head coach constantly stressed that they must be patient and not eat cards because of impulse. But I didn't expect that a Jiang Ning would treat the Kimchi country well, and the game was exceptionally smooth. There are also 2 linesmen, also with a helpless face. Normally, when enforcing a game, the role of the linesman is huge, and the referee often needs the reminder of the linesman to make the correct decision. But with Jiang Ning here, it's very different. Incredibly easy. Often before even they could make a judgment, Jiang Ning had already sounded the whistle, and every time it was the correct punishment. This makes them can't help but ask themselves, is it a little redundant? The referee also came to grab the job of the linesman and let the unpleasant run. Parist, give it to me. Su Yasi shouted and beckoned, and this voice immediately attracted the attention of the pickle defense players. Parist immediately lifted his foot and passed the football under his feet. However, all this is fake. Suyas did beckon for the ball, and Parist did pass the ball, and even when passing the ball, his eyes were still staring in Suyasi's direction. But what about football? Shout. The football came out and rushed to Cavalli in the other direction. It's a feint. The body turned to the left, but he kicked the ball to Cavalli on the right. The players of Kimchi country were already like frightened birds, and when they heard Suyasi's asking for the ball, they immediately supported the center, and when they realized that they had been deceived, Cavalli on the right had successfully won the football and there was no one in front of them. Oops, damn it. The pickle country player quickly turned around again and rushed to the right side. Cavalli raises his foot and volleys. The Kimchi country players were shocked and hurriedly raised their feet to intercept. However, it is fake. Cavalli didn't mean to shoot at all. His real purpose was to attract defenders and create chances for Suyas in the middle. Shout. A kick that seemed to pass and accurately delivered the football above Suyasi's head. You fools. Seeing this, the Kimchi country gate cursed angrily, rushed out, and competed for the high point. Roar! Su Yasi roared, jumped high, and headed the ball. The football was hit by his head, changed direction in an instant, past the goalkeeper of Kimchi country, passed between his hands, and shot into the net. 3:0. Jiang Ning signaled, the goal is effective. Rumble. The cheers were deafening and soared into the sky. Wonderful goals, wonderful cooperation. Starting from the pass, a series of fake movements, a pick and shoot like a pass, a header fairy, all in one go. This is football, this is the real cooperation. Compared with the country of Ukraine, the performance of the country of Kimchi today can be said to be unorganized, undisciplined, and cooperative. Woohoo! I can't believe it's true. How did it become like this? Sun Mingxing, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you in Kimchi country? Never watch their game again. My whole family took leave to come to Karl country, and you used such a perfunctory performance. Is it worthy of us? His horses, return the money. At the scene, the fans of Kimchi country let out a burst of cursing. Episode 12. Inside the Huaxia studio. Jiang Wei, good ball. Pretty, Jiang Wei, audience friends, this is a wonderful goal. The score has expanded again, and Wugwa has led Kimchi country 3 o'clock. Jiang Wei, the cooperation just now can be said to be textbook level. I believe that this goal is likely to be included in one of the best goals of this session. Fan Zi, indeed, a series of fake movements are obviously designed. Fan Zi, but even so, being able to cooperate like this shows that the players in Ukraine have a high tacit understanding and trust each other. Jiang Wei, now there are still the last 20 minutes of the game, even if you add injury time, it will not exceed 25 minutes. Jiang Wei, director Fan, what do you think the Kimchi country will do next? Do they still have hope of a reversal? Fan Zi pondered for a moment and said, actually, at the overall level of the Kimchi country, it is too undeservable to kick like this. Fan Zi, what they need to do most now is to change the status quo and get out of the predicament. Jiang Wei, director Fan, if it were you, how would you arrange it? Fan Zi, first of all, it is definitely necessary to increase the threat and pressure on the Uzbek country. Fan Zi, Sun Mingxing's presence can only keep 3 central defenders on their guard at most, but they cannot be used to pull them down. Fan Zi, if some adjustments are made on the front line, Wugwa will need more strength to stay behind to prevent being counterattacked. Jiang Wei, but if this is the case, the defensive strength of the back line of the pickle country will be affected, right? Fan Zi, then what can be done? Now 3 goals behind, Kimchi country has no hope of turning around without a more aggressive style of play. Fan Zi, let's see. And I hope that Kimchi country can make adjustments as soon as possible. Fan Zi, after all, there is not much time left for the pickle team. The barrage in the live broadcast room frantically brushed the screen. 666. This time the cooperation was played by them, and the country of Wu played very relaxed. The fake action just now is too fake, and the fake action just now is too real. Foreign friends, the Chinese culture is vast and profound, you will not understand, these 2 sentences actually mean the same thing. Upstairs, do you know about the Huaxia Level 10 exam? Although I wasn't there, I'm sure the pickle country fans must have scolded dirty. On the playing field, the Kimchi country players all had black faces and accused each other. Their mentality is already completely jumping. Continuous mistakes, lost goals, coupled with the abuse of fans, and the shadow brought by Jiang Ning, made them almost lose their minds. Sun Mingxing came over and said with a gloomy face, don't argue, wait for Jiang Ning to start and get Jiang Ning down. The Kimchi country player quieted down and turned his head to look coldly at where Jiang Ning was. Especially when he saw Jiang Ning's face calm and not even a drop of sweat, he was even more angry. By what? By now, they were all exhausted, you know, they were professional footballers, they had the toughest training. He is a referee, why is he better than them? What's more, Jiang Ning is still from the Huaxia they have always looked down on. Destroy him. Be sure to destroy him. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have lost like this. Kim Youngkwan nodded. Don't worry, leave it to me. Beep. Jiang Ning whistled, and the game continued. The ball is at the feet of Kimchi country. This time, they did not choose to actively rush forward, but kept hovering in midfield. Jiang Ning frowned. He enforced so many games, the gameplay of this pickle country made him a little puzzled. Now there is not much time left in the game, not actively to push, but to pass back and forth in the midfield? Shout. At this time, Kimchi national midfielder, Kim Youngjun rushed to the right side of the midfield. That is where Jiang Ning is currently located. At the same time, Jiang Ning saw that 2 other Kimchi country players were also running towards here, and stretched out their hands to signal for the ball. Invisibly, the 3 players of Kimchi country approached Jiang Ning so silently, locking his running route one left and one right. The player in charge of passing the ball glanced at Sun Mingxing, and after Sun Mingxing's sneer, he kicked the ball here. Suddenly, all 3 players made the same action, looked up at the ball, tilted their bodies, and then rushed towards the position where the football landed. The location where the football landed is extremely close to where Jiang Ning is. This ball is going to Jiang Ning. Among the 3 players, Ji Ningquan was the fastest and the most fierce, while the other 2 players actually played a role in interfering with Jiang Ning and preventing him from dodging. Jiang Ning instantly understood the intentions of the Kimchi country. These 3 people seem to be chasing the ball, but in fact, they want to cripple him. The speed and explosiveness of football players are far beyond ordinary people. If he is hit by Ji Ningquan, who is running with all his strength, I am afraid that the broken hands and feet will be light. Humph. Jiang Ning snorted coldly, and with a very small step, he shifted slightly to the right. Don't look at this little movement, but there is a big mystery. With Jiang Ning's field control ability and insight, this is his reaction in an instant. In fact, with Jiang Ning's physical strength and speed, it is not impossible to get out of the bag of the three. But Jiang Ning didn't want to do this. Since Kimchi country wants to find trouble, let them feel what despair is. This small step of Jiang Ning's right move was just right, directly blocking Ji Ningjuan's line of sight, but it was still within Kim Ningjuan's collision range. Therefore, at this time, Kim Youngjun could no longer see the position of another teammate. In addition, the Pickle Country player rushing on the left is pupils dilated, because he can see all this in his field of vision. He saw Kim Youngjun and another teammate. Because their vision was blocked, they rushed to Jiang Ning almost at the same time. If they collide, they may lose two players. Get out of the way, the player shouted eagerly. However, it was too late. Under the explosion, where can I break the car in time? At this moment, a sneer appeared at the corner of Jiang Ning's mouth, and his body went to the ground. Boom! Ji Ningquan bumped into it solidly, but the object he hit was another teammate. The hit player fell to the ground in pain and screamed bitterly. As for Kim Youngjun, he has directly passed out and lost consciousness. And Jiang Ning? I saw him stand up with a regretful face. Then, Jiang Ning said in a fluent pickle language, unfortunately, you didn't get to this World Cup. Episode 13, Huaxia Studio. Jiang Wei and Fan Zi both exclaimed. Jiang Wei, what? Take a look. The players of Kimchi country collided together. Fan Zi, what is this doing? Why make such mistakes? Jiang Wei, audience friends, there was an accident in the field. Jiang Wei, director Fan, according to common sense, this situation should not occur, right? Jiang Wei, three of their own players collided with each other, and it seems to be very serious. Fan Zi, it shouldn't be. If it is in a very urgent situation, such as in a restricted area, it may be so. Fan Zi, but they are in midfield, and they have a good grasp of the ball. Jiang Wei, today's Kimchi country is really full of conditions, which is jaw-dropping. Fan Zi, Jiang Ning was very close just now. Let's see what he said. On the playing field, Kim Youngjun and another teammate fell to the ground, seriously injured, and the game was interrupted. Under the violent collision, Kim Youngjun hit his head and fell unconscious directly, and another teammate also had a serious injury to his left foot. In response to Jiang Ning's words, they will miss this World Cup. Because the World Cup only lasts about a month, according to their injuries, I am afraid that they will not recover in a month. There was a burst of consternation at the scene, and many fans stood up and poked their heads out, trying to see the situation below. The fans of Kimchi country also showed a worried look. Even if they scolded fiercely, they didn't want to see such a scene. You're going to get hurt, and you'll suffer after the game. Beep. Jiang Ning whistled and beckoned to the team doctor of Kimchi country, signaling them to come to the arena. But immediately after, Jiang Ning took out a red card from his arms. Malicious collision with the referee, red card, off. Jiang Ning used red cards to target the unconscious Kim Youngchuan, the injured central defender who fell to the ground, and the player who ran together to fight for the ball just now. 3 red cards, 3 in one go. Wow, the audience was in an uproar. What? Referee, is he crazy? Pull out the cards at this time? If you hit yourself, you have to eat cards, and there is no heavenly reason. Protest. Must protest. This referee black whistle, blowing indiscriminately, must give us an explanation to the pickle country. Fans of Kimchi country are furious. Yes, the players of Kimchi country are not contentious and play rubbish, but even if it is garbage, it is also their pickle country people. Beating dogs still depends on the owner. Not only the fans, but also the head coach of Kimchi country also smashed the mineral water bottle in his hand to the ground, and rushed to the 4th official on the sidelines to complain and protest. What? Arioblind, what? Are you blind? I seriously doubt that their fury is taking revenge. He is from Huaxia, and he is targeting our Kimchi country. The players in Ukraine looked at each other, confused, and had no idea what was happening. Especially Cavalli. He had always suspected that Jiang Ning was wearing small shoes for the Kimchi country before, but after receiving a yellow card, he dismissed the idea. But seeing the appearance of 3 red cards, Cavalli was a little uncertain. Such a cruel penalty, even in the previous World Cups, is not common. Isn't this targeting? At this time, the team doctor of Kimchi country had already examined the injuries of Kim Youngjun and the central defender. Both shook their heads and sighed, and then carried the 2 off the field on a stretcher. Seeing this scene, the fans of Kimchi country were even more angry. Protest. Protest. Black whistle. Black whistle. The protests are getting louder and more neat. Referee Jiang Ning, what happened? Why show 3 red cards? 2 assistant referees ran over and wanted to negotiate with Jiang Ning. No way, they received a complaint, and the protest on the scene was so strong. If they could not give a reasonable explanation, I am afraid that this game could not continue. They maliciously rushed me, which is equivalent to provoking the dignity of all the referees. 3 red cards are wrong. Jiang Ning frowned and did not explain too much. In his opinion, he is the referee of this match, and in this field, the penalty he gives does not need to be explained to anyone. Being able to say this sentence is already giving them face. After hearing Jiang Ning's words, the 2 linesmen nodded, immediately turned around and went to the 4th official, and recounted Jiang Ning's reasons. Wow. After this reason was made public, the audience broke out into a burst of noise. Fart. Nonsense. collide with referees maliciously? So why is there nothing wrong with the referee? It's clear that they accidentally got injured in their own scramble. What kind of rotten reason is this? We don't accept it. He is from Huaxia, and he is jealous that our pickle country has entered the World Cup, so he deliberately targeted it. Huaxia people are despicable and lowly. Their men's team is incompetent, and the referee is even more shameless. Protest. 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 Obviously, Jiang Ning's reasons cannot convince the fans of Kimchi country, and they can't block their mouths. After Jiang Ning heard this insult, he couldn't help but sneer. Since you are not convinced, let the facts speak. Jiang Ning immediately conveyed instructions to the 5 referees in the video referee room through the intercom device. Please retrieve the footage captured by the VAR video channels number 3, number 6, number 7, and number 12 3 minutes ago, and make a collection. Focus on the movement path, eye contact, and the dynamics of the 3 players in Kimchi country. In fact, there is no need for Jiang Ning to explain, and the video referee is already doing these jobs. It's just that they can't accurately know what kind of footage the scene just now was captured. This also made the 5 video judges secretly speechless. They are professional video judges, even they can't be sure. How did Jiang Ning know so clearly? Protest. 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 The fans of the pickle country on the scene are still constantly insulting, and in the live broadcast room of Huaxia, the pot has also exploded. Malicious collision with the referee. This group of pickle people is really enough bastards. Dare to hurt my brother Ning? Brothers, pull out the knife. The protest on the scene is so strong. Should Brother Ning really? Who is Brother Ning? Has he ever let us down? Brainless believe in Brother Ning. 3 red cards at once. Brother Ning really killed crazy. Prepare, I have a hunch. The slap in the face is coming soon, and the brothers will laugh as loudly as possible. At this time, the video tribunal finally completed the collection of evidence and played the picture that Jiang Ning needed. In the picture, the every move of the 3 Kimchi country players 3 minutes ago was processed, and it was magnified and presented in front of everyone's eyes. What? No, my God, what do I see? How so? Is this true? Why did you do such a thing? Episode 14. At Jiang Ning's request, the video transferred by the VCR appeared in front of everyone. The video footage is from 3 minutes ago. The action of 3 Kimchi country players. First of all, the 3 not only made obvious eye contact, but also nodded gently to each other. You know, this is before the 3 go to scrum together. What does this say? Some of the smarter fans have already seen the clue. It's actually quite simple. There is obviously communication between the 3 players. So, in the case of communication, how can 3 people compete for a ball at the same time, and still fight until the head is broken? This is unreasonable. Secondly, it is the sequence of actions of the 3 people. Here is also the key point specifically mentioned by Jiang Ning, and the picture is also reflected by the video referee through slow motion. As can be seen through the picture, at the moment when the pickle national midfielder passed the ball, the 3 of them had actually begun to launch, which was 1.35 seconds faster. In other words, it was the 3 who ran to Jiang Ning first, and the football was passed, instead of the 3 to chase the football that was passed out. This order is important, and don't underestimate this 1.35 seconds. According to common sense, at the moment of the ball, even the most tacit teammates need a little time to react. After all, you need to judge where the ball lands. But is it possible that 3 people predicted the position of the midfield pass in advance at the same time, and also started running more than a second in advance? One person can barely explain it, but 3 people are like this, so they can't say it, right? It's like, all 3 wrong answers are exactly the same, and you say you didn't cheat. Just a coincidence? Who believes? After the inspection of the video referee, all the video referee recognized the penalty of the chief referee of Jiang Ning, and the penalty was valid. Wow, the audience was shocked. What is this? The malicious collision referee still refuses to admit it. Is this something that a national team has the face to do? Everyone saw how serious the collision was just now, and it can be imagined that if Jiang Ning hadn't reacted fast enough, I'm afraid Jiang Ning would have to withdraw directly from the World Cup stage. The fans of Kimchi country stopped eating, and the protests and cursing stopped abruptly. Anger, shame, sadness, all kinds of emotions filled the hearts of Kimchi country fans, with mixed tastes, and they didn't know what to say for a while. The protest just now still echoed in the ears of every fan. Every protest was like a slap in the face. Let their faces be burned and painful. How could such a thing be done? Oh, let's go. I have no face to stay here, and in the next 20 days, I will never take a step out of the hotel, because I have no face. It's so disappointing that you don't know how to hide a little bit of this kind of thing. Kimchi football, not worth it. Inside the Huaxia studio, Jiang Wei is also an experienced commentator, and he didn't know what to say for a while. This kind of thing has not happened before in the history of football, but it is the first time in the World Cup. Fan Zi, the psychological quality of the pickle country is not good. If you do this kind of thing, you don't want your face. Fan Zi said angrily. Fortunately, our Jiang Ning was not injured, otherwise can they bear the responsibility? Jiang Wei, I think that tomorrow the media of Kimchi country will be busy, and such a stain is not easy to whitewash. Jiang Wei, by the way, Director Fan, I want to know, what kind of punishment will Kimchi country receive if it does such a thing? Jiang Wei, I believe that not only me, but also many Huaxia fans are also curious about this. Fan Zi, for the integrity of the schedule, Kimchi country will not be disqualified from this World Cup. Fans but warning criticism is certainly indispensable. Fans at the same time, the Kimchi country men's football team will also face huge fines, or even direct disqualification from the next World Cup. Fans in addition, the 3 players who were sent off with red cards may be suspended for a few years. Jiang Wei was shocked. That's quite serious. Fans of course, in football, it is about fair competition and sportsmanship. Fans this behavior of Kimchi country, I personally think, is an insult to football. Jiang Wei, director fan is right. I believe many Huaxia fans also think so. Let's take a look at the barrage sent by Huaxia fans. At this time, the barrage in the Huaxia live broadcast room had completely exploded. Even the server has stuttered. This is unprecedented. Because of Jiang Ning, because of this Huaxia's pride, the number of people in the live broadcast room has overloaded the live broadcast server. The barrage is so dense that it is impossible to see it at all. Brother Ning, you really didn't let us down. Hit the face of the pickle country, and I have Brother Ning. Kimchi country is really humiliating and lost his face back to his grandmother's house this time. How hard he shouted just now. How much his face hurts now. It's called stealing chickens without eroding rice. Kimchi people are ridiculous. Everyone saw no. After Brother Ning was rammed, he did not play cards at the first time, but called the team doctor who called Kimchi. This is the atmosphere of Huaxia. This is the spirit of sports competition. Brothers, don't be polite with the pickle people. Follow me, line up, go a wave of the outer network. Don't let go of such a good opportunity. Let the Kimchi people see what is called the power of Huaxia. Beep. Jiang Ning sounded the whistle and the game continued. Compared to many people, Jiang Ning is the calmest one. After the Kimchi nation player was sent off, he immediately reorganized the game. There are only 8 people in the field today, and one of them is still a goalkeeper, and he has lost the ability to resist, let alone turn over against the wind. And this matter is a huge blow to the players of Kimchi country. This kind of ugly thing was exposed, the fans' disdain, and the opponent's contempt, so that they could no longer raise even a trace of fighting spirit. In the following time, plus 6 minutes of injury time, Wugwa scored another goal to make it 4-0. This is still the last trace of face for the country of Kimchi, otherwise, it is possible to play a bigger score. Beep. Beep. Jiang Ning blew the whistle for the end of the game. The players and fans of Ukraine celebrated wildly. The first game of the World Cup, they achieved a good result, and in the next group stage, they have a lot of choice. Undoubtedly, this has added a lot of hope to the country of Ukraine in the following games. The players of Kimchi country lay down weakly on the ground. This more than an hour of competition time seems like a century for them. For the country of Kimchi, this is a bitter battle, and the physical exertion is also huge. Then, it was time for the post-match handshake. After shaking hands, Kimchi country panted one by one, and the players in Wugwa were inevitably tired. The players on both sides lay directly on the ground, breathing heavily. The physical energy consumed by such a high-intensity game is huge, and it is common for players to lie on the green field. But the eyes of both sides suddenly focused on one person, that is, Jiang Ning. He was playing a record of the match with 2 linesmen and didn't look tired. Breathing is very even, indicating that the physical energy is still very full. After running a whole ball game, how can his physical fitness be so good? Incredible. Episode 15. The match between Yuzuki and Kimchi is over. The score is 4 o'clock. Without a doubt, it was a very interesting game. However, the most exciting thing is Jiang Ning's penalty and the final Kimchi collision. The fans of Kimchi country left the field, coming with their toes high and walking with their heads bowed. Outside the field, the reporter interviewed the players of Kimchi country. The reporter turned to Sun Mingxing and asked, "How do you evaluate your performance today? There are good and bad. I am a little out of state, otherwise the end may not be like this." Sun Mingxing's face is ugly, and as the main player of the team, he is even more proud of high hopes. This kick is a suffocating. While speaking, he also casually glanced at the location where Jiang Ning was. Jiang Ning has become his nightmare. Even if the game is over, he still can't break free from the shadows. The reporter continued to ask, "Do you think there will be good results next?" Of course, a temporary failure is nothing. I will regain my strength and give the fans a satisfactory explanation. The reporter gave a professional smirk and handed the microphone to a player next to him. "Mr. Sun Jihao, do you have anything to say about today's competition?" This Sun Jihao was extremely shameless, still with a very unconvinced expression. "Our luck today is so bad because we met the referee of Huaxia. The Chinese people have always been very jealous of our pickle country because we are better than them in everything, especially in football. The Huaxia national football team lost to us miserably in the World Cup qualifiers, and they have always been very concerned. Obviously, this Huaxia referee is deliberately targeting us, so I think we are not losing to Wugwa, but to the Huaxia referee." The reporter said with a smile, "Thank you Sun Jihao for your answer, and I hope you can play well in the next step and return the support of the fans. I support Nima." At this moment, a figure rushed over and angrily broke into the live interview screen. This is a Kimchi country fan with a green hat on his head and the word Kimchi written on it. With a crooked mouth and a look of anger, he shouted loudly in the pickle language, "Support Nima. What garbage the pickle national football team kicks." What a broken thing. The faces of the pickle people have been lost by them. Is it worthy of us? The money back of Junima. The reporter's face was stiff and stunned in place, and it was difficult to maintain even a professional smirk. This is a live interview. It's a live broadcast, and many viewers are watching it. Yes, I know that you are upset. I know that you want to scold my mother. But these pictures will be broadcast live to Kimchi country in real time and seen by the people of the whole country. This is a big truth. How to explain to the Kimchi people? In fact, there is no need to worry. With the nature of pickle people, selective forgetting is a basic skill. They will only remember their highlight moments and then zoom in infinitely. For unbearable memories, within 3 days, collective amnesia. Memory is just a little stronger than fish, and Huaxia rewarded it with the nickname, Kimchi Fish. Inside the Huaxia studio, Jiang Wei, the game is over. I believe many fans are like us. This game is quite enjoyable to watch. Fans it's a lot more interesting, much better than the first Carl Country game. Jiang Wei, of course, this is thanks to Jiang Ning. Jiang Wei, I believe that countless fans have remembered his name, not only Huaxia, but the whole world. Jiang Wei, here, I want to proudly say it again, his name is Jiang Ning, and he is from Huaxia. Fans that's right, his name is Jiang Ning, and he is from Huaxia. It is the referee representative of the Asian region of this World Cup. Fans his punishment is precise, decisive, severe and fair. Fans I believe that this World Cup, he will shine, which can be regarded as another way for our Huaxia to win glory for the country. Jiang Wei, okay, thank you Director Fan for these words. Let's review the wonderful moments of the whole game. The screen began to scroll, playing the goal moment of this game, especially the wonderful cooperation of Wu Guo's blow was played several times. Subsequently, several pictures of Jiang Ning's punishment were played. In particular, the moment of the Kimchi country collision incident was played on a loop, as if afraid that the fans of the world would not know. In addition, the number of yellow and red cards presented by Jiang Ning in this game is also displayed below. 5 yellow cards, 3 red cards. This shows the severity of his sentence. However, at this moment, the broadcast screen suddenly turned and came to the edge of the competition field. This is Jiang Ning's interview live broadcast. Jiang Wei and Fan Zi in the studio were both stunned. Jiang Wei couldn't help but laugh and said, "Audience friends, what is playing now is the post-match interview screen of the Jiang Ning referee." Fan Zi also ridiculed, not to mention, the director of this World Cup is quite good, and he knows who the audience loves to watch. Next to the competition field, Jiang Ning was being interviewed by the media. The reporter asked, "Referee Jiang Ning, some people think that the Huaxia referee is not qualified to stand on the stage of the World Cup, because the Huaxia national football team is too weak. What do you think about this?" Jiang Ning didn't think about it. "I see with my eyes." "Haha, you're really kidding." The reporter immediately asked. She knew that this sentence was difficult to answer, and wanted to see Jiang Ning's immediate reaction. "So what do you think?" In the face of the Kimchi team's questioning. "This question should not come to me. It should be asked to those who question me. They said I wasn't qualified, but now that I'm on the World Cup and just refereeing a game, what should they think?" Jiang Ning's words are sharp, just like he is in the arena, and he likes to speak with facts. "You question me? I'm right here. What's the point of you questioning?" A fair and just judgment is the best response to doubts. The reporter continued to ask, "Some people say that you are too targeting Kimchi country in this game. How do you respond?" "I'm not going to target anyone, any team." Jiang Ning stopped and said, "I am a professional referee. Please don't question my professionalism. For the penalty of the game, I only have 4 words, fair and just. If the Kimchi country follows the rules, it will not be this result." The words are very confident. This man from Huaxia is standing on the field at this time to represent the Chinese football scene. "Jiang Ning, I love you. Jiang Ning, sign my name. Jiang Ning, Jiang Ning." At this moment, a hot, blonde woman rushed over with paper and pen in her hand, her face full of excitement. The security guards around the arena were shocked and quickly reached out to stop it. This is risky behavior, and their duty is not to allow any unrelated personnel to approach Jiang Ning. So, amid the woman's screams, the security guard forcibly dragged her away from the scene. Jiang Ning frowned and reached out to stop it. "Hey, man, let her go."